5. The delivery he never finished. This could be one of the strangest recordings ever captured by a delivery rider during a simple night run. Nothing staged, nothing set up, just a camera rolling at the wrong moment. His name is Penstock8, a delivery rider from Indonesia who often records his routine while he's working. Normally the videos are light, interactions with customers, curious situations, everyday things. But that night, something completely out of the ordinary happened. It was just another order, an address further out from the city, one of those routes that already gives you a bad feeling before you even arrive. As he moves forward, the environment begins to change. The lights disappear, the houses fade away, and the silence starts to weigh on him. All that's left is the sound of the motorbike, cutting through a narrow, dark road, practically swallowed by the night. Then something appears ahead, standing still, right in the middle of the road. At first it looks like nothing more than a shadow, something undefined, hard to make out from a distance. But he keeps going, and the closer he gets, the less normal it seems. The shape begins to take form, height, presence. It's someone, completely still, not reacting, not moving out of the way, even with the bike's light already illuminating everything around. And that doesn't make sense. Now there's no doubt, a figure dressed in white, standing exactly in the middle of the road, without any movement, not a single step, not a gesture, not even a reaction to his presence. And that's the moment he decides not to take the risk. Without thinking twice, he turns the bike around and leaves, quickly, as if something inside him had already understood that staying there was not an option. Later, when he watches the footage again calmly, far from that road, one detail becomes even more unsettling, because without the tension of the moment, that stillness feels even stranger. The posture, the rigidity, the way the figure simply remains there, as if it were waiting. In Indonesia, many people would say this resembles a well-known figure from local folklore. But there could also be a simpler explanation. Perhaps it was just a person, someone standing there for some reason, or even trying to frighten him. But even so, there's something that doesn't quite add up. Because if it were you in that situation, alone, in the middle of a dark road, with a headlight coming towards you, would you stand completely still like that? 4. The shadow followed him home. Some people believe that certain places you enter alone, but you don't leave in quite the same way. The owner of the profile, Moradores Nocturnos, never really took that sort of thing seriously until the day he decided to visit a cemetery at night. According to him, that's where everything began. On his way out, just before leaving, he noticed something strange. A shadow, standing right at the entrance, not moving, not doing anything. At the time, he thought it was just someone, or perhaps a trick of the light, and he left. But after that, the feeling that something wasn't right didn't leave with him. The first sign started inside the house. Small, hard to explain, but easy to ignore. Until one ordinary day, while he was filming his son, something caught his attention. A movement, right by the door.
A ver. ¿Qué carajo? Mames. Quédate, hijo, quédate. No mames.
Through the glass, you can clearly see that something is outside. It's impossible to tell what it is, but it's moving, and it doesn't seem normal. At the time, he assumes the most obvious. Someone might have entered the garden. He opens the door quickly, but there's no one there. Nothing. No sign that anything had been there just seconds before. And that alone would already be strange enough. But it doesn't stop there. On another night, the same thing happens. Once again, he's with his son. And once again, the shadow appears in the garden, in the same place, in the same way.
Tú síguele, tú síguele. Marcus. Aguanta. No mames. Ahí está mi otra puerta. Está cerrada. Y no hay nada. Está mi perro nomás. Verga. ¡Amor!
And once more, when he opens the door, there's absolutely nothing there, as if whatever it was simply ceases to exist the moment he tries to see it up close. Up to this point, you can still try to explain it. Reflections, an illusion, something passing outside. But then his son starts talking. He says he's been seeing a monster walking around the house. At first, it might seem like imagination. Children make things up, but the accounts begin to repeat, and they grow more and more specific, more unsettling, until one day, something impossible happens. The boy claims he saw his own father inside the bathroom, walking around as normal, except his father wasn't at home. When he hears this later, the atmosphere shifts completely, because from that point on, things start getting worse.
Bueno, con el limón. A ver, dile a la abuela. Limón. Dile, mandarina. ¡Mandarina! Se cayó. ¿Qué? No. Hola. Mira, espera, Marcos. Otra vez, no, por favor. Otra vez. ¿Roló? No mames. Mierda.
A door opens on its own. No wind, no one nearby. He approaches, already hesitant, and looks outside. In the garden, there's something, a figure, standing still, as if it's watching. For a moment he tries to convince himself it's the dog. That would make sense, but then it stands up, and it becomes clear. It's far too big, far too tall, and definitely not the dog. And just when it seems like it can't get any worse, it does. On another night, while his wife is in the shower, he notices the curtain moving on its own. There's no wind, no open window, nothing that could explain it, and even so, the curtain keeps moving, as if someone is there on the other side.
Mi esposa está en el baño. Vamos a ver. No hay nada.
¿Qué carajo es eso?
¿Qué es eso? No mames. Maldita sea, vamos a prender el flash. Ahí espera, hijo. ¿Qué fue eso? No hay nadie en la cocina. Oh, mierda. ¿Qué?
Ahora sí me dio miedo.
¿Qué es eso?
At this point, it no longer feels like something outside. Whatever it is, it's now inside the house, and that changes everything, because it's one thing to see something from a distance, something entirely different, to realize you might no longer be alone inside your own home, and that leaves the question, can all of this really be explained? Reflections, coincidences, imagination? Or did that shadow he saw at the cemetery simply decide to follow him home? 3. Possession, or something else entirely? What you're about to see is the kind of footage that completely divides opinion. Some people watch it and see something medical, others swear it's more than that. This video was recorded in South Cotabato in the Philippines and shows a moment that, at first glance, is already difficult to watch. A group of people are gathered, trying to restrain a young man, but this isn't a normal situation. He's thrashing violently, completely out of control, his body rigid, his movements sudden, as if something is entirely beyond control. And then come the sounds. Strange groans, low, uneven. Nothing about it feels normal.
Hadlukan ko. Ayaw kasi lawas mo to.
The scene is chaotic, several people trying to hold him down at the same time, while he continues to writhe with a strength that seems greater than it should be. At one particular moment, something draws even more attention. His body arches with force, as if he's being pulled. For a few seconds, it almost looks as though he's about to lift off the ground, and that's what unsettles viewers the most, because at that point, many begin to question what they're seeing. The person who posted the video suggests something more extreme. They speak of possession, something beyond the ordinary, but there's also a far more rational explanation. Some people point out that the movements are consistent with a severe seizure, intense muscle spasms, extreme rigidity, the body bending involuntarily, and in fact, that does happen. The problem is, not every detail seems to fit so neatly, especially that specific moment, the way his body reacts, the sounds he makes, and the intensity of it all. So the question remains, was it simply a serious medical episode captured by chance, or is there something in this footage that goes beyond what we can easily explain? 2. The footsteps upstairs were real. Some houses seem perfect until you spend the first night inside them. And in Michael Tisdale's case, it didn't even take a week. He and his wife had just moved into an old house in Louisiana, built back in 1896. It was exactly the sort of place many people dream of owning. Beautiful, historic, full of character, and with that familiar stillness typical of old homes. At first, everything seemed normal, until the noises began. Almost every night, they would hear footsteps upstairs. Not just any sound. Heavy footsteps, slow, deliberate, as if someone were walking along the corridor. Sometimes they would go from one end to the other. Other times, they would stop right at the top of the stairs and remain there, as if someone was standing, just listening. At first, they tried to ignore it. Old houses do make noise. Wood creaks, shifts over time, reacts to temperature. That's normal, but this didn't feel random. The footsteps had rhythm, they had a pattern, always the same, and that starts to wear you down, especially when it happens every single night. After days of barely getting any proper sleep, Michael decided he needed to see for himself what was going on. He picks up his phone, starts recording, and heads upstairs, slowly. You can hear in his voice that it was really starting to get to him.
Alright. I can't believe I'm fucking doing this right now, but something's making noise up here. I'm gonna go check it out. Again. I'm trying. Oh shit. Okay, yeah, it's alright. Alright. It's just a room, right? Okay. Alright guys, moment of truth. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Okay. Turn the light off. Here we go. What the fuck? What the fuck? I just heard somebody's voice. I swear to God.
He goes into the rooms, switches on the lights, checks everything carefully, and at first glance there's nothing there. No sign of anyone, no movement. But at one very specific moment in the footage, something strange happens. If you look closely at the doorway of one of the rooms, it seems like something appears. It's quick, almost imperceptible, but it's there. It could be a shadow. It could be the camera angle, or even the reflection of something that went unnoticed at the time. But there's one detail that makes it all the more unsettling. The house dates back to the late 19th century, and back then it was common for many things to happen within the homes themselves, without record, without explanation. So the question remains, was it simply an illusion created by the light and the camera, or did those footsteps they heard every night really belong to someone? 1. That place was never empty. Working alone in the early hours of the morning is already unsettling on its own. Now imagine doing that in a place where, even when it's empty, you start to feel like something is following you. The security guard known as Team Saver lives exactly that. For some time now, he's been carrying out night patrols in a completely empty facility. At least, that's how it's meant to be. Because according to him, almost every night things happen that simply don't make sense. Noises appearing out of nowhere, distant footsteps echoing through the corridors, faint knocks, as if something is moving just out of sight. And the worst part isn't even the sound, it's the constant feeling of not being alone. Because of that, he started recording parts of his patrols, more for safety than anything else. And it was on one of those nights that something truly strange happened.
Hello?
During the patrol, he hears a different kind of noise. It's not coming from the corridors, it's coming from above, from a small attic space, almost level with the ceiling, dark enough to hide anything inside. It sounds like something moved, a faint noise, but clear enough to catch his attention. He stops, stays silent, tries to listen again, and the noise repeats. At that moment, you can tell he's no longer comfortable. Even so, he decides to move closer, slowly, phone in hand, camera recording. Each step feels heavier than the last, until he gets close enough to look directly into that dark space. And that's when he captures this. At first, there doesn't seem to be anything there, just darkness, the kind of place where the mind can easily start to imagine things. He continues with the patrol, but he can't stop thinking about it. Later, when he reviews the footage calmly, a detail appears, something he hadn't noticed at the time. When the image is brightened, you can see it. Inside that space, there's something there, a shape, and then something moves. It looks like a hand, slowly emerging from the darkness, bracing itself, as if it were holding onto something inside. It remains visible for a few seconds, long enough to cause immediate unease, and then it pulls back, disappears into the darkness again, as if it had never been there at all. After that, he's certain he recorded something out of the ordinary, but not everyone agrees. Some say it could have been someone hiding there, which, to be honest, might be even worse, because if the place was supposed to be completely empty, then who or what was watching him from that space without making a sound until that moment? Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps and means a lot. And if you're into this kind of content, there's plenty more coming.